Looks a little bit like pureed brain, doesn't it? Ooh. It's always Halloween for some. That's me, I'm some. Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Christy, spelled with an E. If you're new here and you haven't seen me before, in the last 2 years I've lost over 80 pounds and I'm working towards living a healthy life. And on this channel I just share bits of my life. It could be a vlog, it could be cooking, it could be talking about nutrition, basically whatever pops into my head. So today I'm going to make tallow. This is the second time I'm making tallow, and I'm going to be doing some comparisons this time with butter and prices. This is suet here that I got at the farm, and let's see, this is just over 5 pounds, and sorry, I can't quite see with my glasses on. This was $12.60, so I'm going to call it $13, and I'm going to keep the label so we can compare later. So let me go ahead and cut that bit off so we can keep that right there. Let's open this up. These handy dandy scissors come in handy dandy. Alright, so this fat that I got this time does have a little bit more meat on it, it looks like. So I will be cutting that off because we don't want very much of the actual, of actual muscle meat in our fat to render it. All right, there we go. We'll leave this right here in case we need to put any bits in there to throw out. I have 2 knives and we always start with sharpening. So I've got my knife sharpener. Always cuts better when you have a sharp knife. And I will also sharpen my paring knife as well. This will be easier for cutting the bits of meat off. All right. Now let's start breaking this down. I will do this on speed mode, so you don't have to sit here for however long it takes me to get all this broken down. One thing I will do differently this time. Short girl problems makes it hard to reach. I'm going to get it all cut up first and put it in this bowl. That way then we can put it in the processor. Makes it just a tad bit easier. All right, so we will be back after I get this all cut up. wash my hands. I'll be back in just a moment. Clean hands. I've decided that instead of throwing this out, I'm going to fry this up for a snack. So I'm going to put this in a bowl for later. All right, so now we need our big pot, which I've got right here. And again, it has this little steamer, which I'm going to take out. And inside I've got this strainer, and that's what I'm going to put all of the meat in once I have blitzed it. Again, we're going to do this on fast speed, so you don't have to deal with how long it takes and watch the whole darn thing. Looks a little bit like pureed brain, doesn't it? Ooh. It's always Halloween for some. That's me, I'm some. But this looks fantastic. So again, I'm going to wash my hands and we'll come back over by the stove. And what's the first thing that we do when we're using the oven? Check to make sure there's nothing left in it from before. And we have a clean oven. I'm also going to take out my top rack and make sure that this one is all the way down so that our pot will fit. And looky there, it will. Let's put the lid on it. Now I'm going to turn my oven on. We're going to turn on a 250 and we are going to let that cook in there, and what that is going to do is all of that fat is going to render down and melt and go in the bottom pan, and we will come back here and check it in an hour or two. Let the waiting games begin. And while we wait, we are going to fry up our little bits here. I believe, as our ancestors before us, we should never let part of an animal go to waste. So even though these were just little bits that I cut off that I can't use in tallow, doesn't mean that I cannot eat them. Cheers. It makes a good snack. Alright. I'm not going to make you watch me eat. So we'll be back to check on him on the fat in the oven in a couple hours. It has been a couple hours, so let's peek in the oven and see how things are going. Oh yes, let's pull this out. Can you see that in there? We've got some, it's rendering real good. Still got a ways to go. But there's what our pot looks like. So we've got some in there, and we'll keep it going. I'm gonna put this back in there. Now, I didn't mention it before, so I'm going to mention it now. The method that I'm using is called the dry method. There's also a wet method. The difference, obviously, is water, wet or dry. The dry method is letting it melt on its own, which I believe keeps it less adulterated. The wet method involves adding water to it and then boiling the water off and leaving the fat that way. And I've never tried the wet method, but it's not a method that I would want to try. So I'm happy with the way that I do it. Other people do it their own ways. This is how I do it. I just wanted to clarify so you knew which method I was trying and that there were other methods of rendering fat. So it's back in the oven. We're gonna let it go for a couple more hours and we will check it again. Let's take a peek, shall we? That's looking pretty good. Still have some fat in there to render out, but I am going to move what we've got in here. Move the pot so you can see it. Again, pouring away from you. And that looks beautiful. Look at that. That's what we've got left in there. We're gonna put it back in and let it go a little bit longer. I got a bowl out, I've got my strainer. I saved the cheesecloth that I washed from last time. going to put that right in here. Got it doubled. And then we will strain our liquid gold right into there. Those are just the little bits that did not render. And I've already got jars prepared here. So these are pint jars. That is 2 pints so far. I've got a little bit left in the bowl. We're just going to leave that for right now. We'll add more to it as we go. So we've got 2. Grab my lids here. And there we go. Look at that beautiful gold. Liquid gold right there. We're gonna let these cool and check on it in just a bit. Well, it has been about 8 hours. I've got 3 pints so far. And this is what I have left in my pot. As you can see, hopefully, I still have some good fat in there that can be rendered out. So I am going to put this back in the oven. But for our comparison, I've got 3 pints. These 2 have solidified. This one is only half solid because I just poured some more in there. But if you remember, that whole bit of fat, that 5 pounds of fat, was $12.60, so $13. And if we compare it to butter, and I'm comparing to Walmart butter at bottom of the shelf, the cheapest of the cheap, their butter for 4 sticks, which is 16 ounces, which also translates to 1 pint, is around $3.98, so $4. So if we do that, 4, 8, 12. That's $12 here, and I am going to put it back in there, but that's basically about the same price. So it's comparable to bottom of the shelf El Cheapo butter, and the quality of this is top shelf. 1 jar of this, 1 pint jar, goes for between $20 to $25. So it is a great deal. It is totally worth it. And it does last slightly longer. I could go through 2 cartons of butter, you know, the like 6 to 8 sticks if I was using butter in a week. One of these jars lasts maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks. So it is totally worth it. Gives you the best cooking experience you've ever had. Don't take my word for it though. Try it yourself. It's totally worth it. Yes, it takes all day because it's been 8 hours, and I'm going to put this back in the oven for a little bit longer and get every last bit out of it I can. But I hope you'd enjoyed watching that, and if you've made it to the end, give yourself a round of applause. I hope that everyone has a safe and happy 4th of July in the U.S., and if you're outside of the U.S., have a great weekend. I will catch you all later. Toodles.